Hey guys, Flabaliki here today and welcome back to Planet Coaster. Today I am building what I called an epic pirate coaster. I mean, it's not so much the coaster that's epic, but the building that goes around it. Now, I'm sure if you saw the thumbnail, you have a fairly good idea of what this is going to look like, but you know, I don't want to spoil it too much, except for the thumbnail. But anyway, yeah, so this is the first kind of coaster that I've really put a lot of time and effort into. I think this whole build probably took about 2 hours. This wasn't even intended to be something that big or that was going to take that long, or it wasn't even really supposed to be a build video like this, but it kind of just worked out like that. And you know what? I thought this is a pretty good video, or at least I hope it's going to be. Yeah, so I actually started doing this on a live stream. Not my own live stream. Genie was live streaming some Planet Coaster, my friend, and I was hanging out in his live stream and I was just building along because he was building some stuff, and I thought I want to play as well. So I did, and this is what I was doing in the background while he was doing his own thing. So yeah, I really the whole point of this is I wanted to build a full-on building around a station and make a proper themed coaster, because that's something that I haven't done in the game yet. I mean, I've built like a little building around one, but nothing this comprehensive. And I've never really done it in the past either. And what I mean by that is that long-time viewers of the channel will know that I used to play a ton of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and I have 3 full sandbox series on it, and I also have a series where I completed all of the career mode campaigns and all of the expansions. And then I also started doing another little series at the end, but then I kind of got bored because I'd done 150 videos or something of it. And I was waiting for something new, and it's finally here. But anyway, yeah, so I've never really built a fully themed coaster to sort of this level of detail. And this is just the beginning. I'm just getting used to it. So I'm pretty excited to see how we go. So now you may be thinking, oh, he's just undone everything he did. The reason I just undid everything was because I realized that the pathway, the default queue pathway width is actually not in line with the grid, which is kind of annoying because the grid for the station is, I think, by the looks of it, grid squares are 4 meters, 4 by 4 meters, because I had to make the pathway, this like queue pathway, 4 meters wide, and then it lined up perfectly with the grid. So if that's something you're worried about, and the reason I wanted it to line up so well is because I wanted to, build walls around it and fit it all in. I could have built it, the station and the sort of building around it as technically 2 separate buildings, and I wouldn't have had to worry about it lining up with the grid there. But it's just much easier having it all as one big building, so that if later on I wanted to move the entire coaster, I could totally do that. Or if I wanted to duplicate the station, it would get everything and not just a little bit here or there. And now the funny thing is, because the coaster builder is still in early days, you'll note that everybody just sort of floods into the park. They're like, "Ooh, there's a coaster station. Let's line up for the grand opening," even though it's nowhere near ready. But anyway, I don't know. Guests kind of just flood in and have a good time. But yeah, so right now I am going around getting I'm building the perimeter wall of the structure. So it's going to be pirate themed, as the title suggests. So it's going to be kind of castle-y, kind of piratey. I don't know. Yeah, definitely piratey. That's what I'm going for here. So I'm going around making the wall shape a little bit interesting, having some little pop-outs and pop-ins and all different wall types. So we've got this kind of winding queue that goes through the building to, make sure we have a very long queue, as, you'll know coasters in real life totally do, because that's the worst, isn't it? When you're going in a queue for a coaster in real life, and then you're like, oh yes, this is the final corner. You always think it's the final corner, but there's always one more corner. You go around it, and then there's a whole nother queue room. And that's totally what this is. It's basically, it's one of those. You go around the corner and there's more queue. Yeah, so it's all inside. It's all going to be themed. And later on, we go inside and I put lights, I put decoration, I put details everywhere. It gets really, really in depth, and it's pretty cool. Now, I would say my biggest, I don't know, I guess annoyance or frustration so far with doing a building like this is that the pathways don't fill the room. So you have to, and also because there's no terrain editing there, you can see I had to put these roof pieces actually above the ground to make a flooring. Like there's no way you can just floor a building and then have a pathway run through it. It would be fine if we had if we just had flat floor tiles that go on the ground that are the same texture as the pathway, but sort of blend in at least. Because that's probably the worst bit, is that even when I put all these sort of floor pieces in later on, there's still the curved corner bits of the pathway where you can see grass, and that's the one thing that really, frustrated / and/or annoyed me with it at the moment. So hopefully they can figure out a way to get some flooring system in for buildings, because then, then we'd be in happy days. I don't know. Would be in happy days? I don't know. Anyways, I was looking for signs. There's not really any signs I wanted, so I just went back to doing piratey things. But yeah, you saw I put a few lights around there, and I tell you what, the lighting in this game, I love the lighting in this game. It's so beautiful once it goes nighttime and we have all those lanterns everywhere. Oh man, it starts looking really, really good. It's so good. Anyway, yeah, so I basically just going through the building and putting in random decorations and structures and just bits and bobs here and there to give it some detail. So as you walk through it, as you look at it, it's pretty cool. And I think one of the interesting things is the fact that there's all this detail in it. And to be honest, if you're playing the game, like just as you would play a theme park game from above, you're never going to see it because this is all inside and I put a roof on it. But if you do want to go first person and walk through it, you can see it all. And I should note that you can download this park. There is a link in the description down below. Hopefully it will work. I don't know. I haven't tried sharing saves with Planet Coaster. I will put the details in the description of where you put the save file and how to get it to work. If it does indeed work, I'm sure you can let me know. Also, I don't know if once they update the game, if save files will continue to work in the future. So if you're watching this in the future and you try to use it and it doesn't work, then maybe that's why. Maybe it's out of date. I don't know. But anyway, for now, let's hope that it works and you can check it out. So yeah, basically the save file will be like this coaster and the little station area here. Yeah, so I'm just going through. I'm doing all these lanterns and flags and oh man, I was having so much fun just detailing this and going crazy with doing stuff. I mean, it's so much easier to build in this than, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, which is fair enough because that was, 12 years ago that game came out. So you would expect this to be a little bit easier. I'm still a little bit disappointed that it still kind of retains the same building method. Don't get me wrong, like it's really good, but there's so many better ways you could build walls. Like, instead of having separate wall pieces, you click one point, you click point A, click point B, you get a whole wall. Like that to me would have made more sense. But I don't know, whatever. This works, but I still think that there could have been better ways to do it, but it works and you can produce some amazing things with it. And the fact that everything is basically, everything is pretty much no clip, so you can put anything inside of anything else. So the cool thing is, then when you get another building, you can get another building on a different angle. And I mean, it is really, really powerful, but I think there could have been some more interesting ways to actually place walls. But I guess whatever works. Yeah, so pretty much just building walls for the next bit. Detailing, that's where the track goes there, actually. So I just built like a little sort of, I don't know, it's not really a bridge because I didn't put a floor in there because I wanted people to be able to see the track. But I guess it's kind of a little guide bridge, if you will, is where the track is going to sort of build through. And you saw I put some colored lights in some areas, and I've done all this kind of stuff. So this area here, I decided to have a lower roof on that section just so we could have like an upper courtyard. Just again to add a little bit more detail and variety to the building shape. Because with this particular building, there's no pitched roof we can really do because we can't recolor anything. So the pitched roof we do have either like a corrugated like metal roof or a light colored sort of tile roof, which doesn't match. So this is kind of the more castle-y build kind of thing. So it all has a flat roof. So I was trying to get a lot of different verticality in the roof height, just so we could vary it up a little bit. Yeah, just trying to figure out where all the walls go. And I mean, I say that there could have been better ways to build walls, but to be fair, it's very, very intuitive the way that this is done, and it works 1,000,000 times better than it did in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Like just having this sort of auto stack feature and everything, when you put your mouse there, it actually goes there. Because I remember, and actually this is the same in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, is like when you started getting really tall in those games, and you try to get a roof piece on, you had to guess where the roof piece was going to go from the ground. That was so difficult. This makes that much easier, at least, so that's good. Putting some more of those beautiful lanterns in now as well, just to light up the station area, to give it a little bit more mood, which is good. The problem with lanterns, though, is they don't actually... They create a really, really good mood, and they create a really nice ambient light, but it doesn't actually light up anything other than the lantern itself and a bit of wall. The rest of the place remains quite dark, so I have to put in some other lights here and there. But I think it looks really cool in the end. We do, at the very end, we actually have like a first-person walkthrough here. So you'll be able to see sort of everything from a first-person perspective. And of course, we do ride the roller coaster when I eventually get around to building that, because we haven't even got to that yet. I can't believe I spent this much time building a station. I think I spent at least 1 hour just doing this structure. Well, it was 1 hour up until the point I started building the coaster. I hadn't finished the structure at that point. At that point, I just decided, let's build the coaster now so we can figure out where it all goes, and then we can fit everything else around that. So once we start building the coaster, it's been about an hour in the game. So yeah, it's time consuming, but it's the good kind of time consuming. It's like, it's that amount of time that passes and you don't even realize that it's passed because you're having way too much fun doing it. So anyway, here we are building the coaster. I decided to come out, drop down right away, sort of bank it around a little bit. It's a bit of it's a bit of an interesting bank. I'm actually really happy with the way this coaster turned out in the end. It's somewhat realistic. There's some parts which I'm sure are not, but I think it looks sort of convincing enough that I'm very happy with it. It's definitely my best coaster to date anyway. And by the way, that little S-bend before the chain lift, I kind of like the idea of it. I don't know why, because there was absolutely no point in having an S-bend there. I didn't need to, but I kind of liked it. Just testing to make sure the coaster works. It totally does. I don't know why it wouldn't at that point. But anyway, so just going for a nice big drop at the very beginning. We go straight down, and we basically do a few like banks and rising up and all this kind of stuff. Sort of swoop up, and then we swoop down and bank around. And I think it's a pretty cool coaster. It's pretty simple, I guess, in its design. So we have one big bank around there, as you can see. Then we sort of come through underneath that original bank, and we're going to do a beautiful loop-de-loop right there. And that's a little too tall there, so I have to move it back a bit. So we have a nice loop, and then we sort of bank around underneath the chain lift. I was originally going to do like a roll there, but then I was like, why don't I just use one of the pre-built ones? And I totally did. And I ended up using that one there, which when I actually see the coaster go on it, it feels like it's a little bit neck-breaking. Not neck breaking, a little bit jarring. It looks like when you actually ride the coaster, but I kind of like it. Anyway, so we're going for another bank, so it sort of swoops around in the same area, a little bit tighter than the first time. So we come around and sort of duck under that first rise again, and then we're sort of just heading back to the station here. So as you can see, it's fairly simple. We have two beautiful banks and a loop and another inversion as well, and we bring it back. So it's a pretty simple coaster, but I think it's really nice. I really, really like it. Just looking at it there, I haven't even sort of smoothed it out yet or adjusted it, because I do actually have to adjust it in a minute. I just did a test of the coaster in first person, but I cut that out because I want to save that till the end, where you can see it in real time. Because seeing first person at sped up like this kind of speed is actually kind of sickening. It kind of makes you want to throw up a little bit at this speed, so I cut that out. Also, I didn't want to spoil it too much, because it looks much better at the end when I have all the scenery around it too. This coaster though could have benefited from the terrain tools. But I'll talk more about that once we start building the coaster. As you can see, I'm just going through now and actually finishing off the building. So I've pretty much done the inside for the most part. So I'm going around putting a roof on, finishing off like the sort of walls and figuring out where everything's going to go in terms of the roofing and that kind of stuff. So just getting that all sorted out now so that we can finish off the building and then do a little bit more detailing everywhere and make it look, a little bit more polished than it currently is. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. I don't know if I'm gonna, I think I might build more in this park. I like this park just because this park only has this coaster in it. But if I do more videos of this style, then maybe I'll sort of build them in this park, so then we eventually get one large epic park going on. Oh, here we go. So what's this? I've gone to daytime. I don't know. It was just a cut in the video, I think. I think I took a break and then I came back again. Anyway, so yeah, going through and doing the roof now. You can actually see it a little bit better too because it's daytime, which is nice. So just putting the roof on there. And then obviously I've got to fill in the gap with the walls. Yeah, and so you'll notice all the walls right now on the outside are really, really bland. Don't worry, they get heavily, heavily detailed as we start going through it as well. Because yeah, I mean, it's bland just because that's the shape. I started off with the shape and then I figured out what I wanted to do from there. And then I started adding all these bits and bobs everywhere and getting things up and running. So the coaster is actually open at this point in time, I think. So I think people are actually going on it too, which is kind of interesting. So getting a few windows in there and some wall pieces. There's a lot of like decorative wall pieces here. So going around and doing like, what do you call them? What do you call those things? They're not battlements, are they? Crenellations. Oh, they're not really crenellations. But anyway, I was going around the roof adding, I don't know, battlements or crenellations, whatever you want to call them. Or whatever they actually are, because I'm sure there's some sort of architecture buff that knows. And I don't. But anyway, yeah, just going around the building, adding arches, adding beautiful little details, making it look a little bit more alive than just a flat wall. Because a flat wall does not look great. Contrary to popular belief, just using big flat block walls, it actually doesn't look that good. I mean, it really doesn't. So, yeah. Anyway, so I was trying to figure out where I could build a little turret. Turns out that back corner was the best place because the base piece for the turret is actually a little bit wider than 2x2. So I had to find somewhere that could actually fit it. Turns out at the back was the perfect space. So it's just a little bit of a turret, not too tall. I didn't want to sort of overshadow the rest of the structure at all. So I kind of put it there. And it just adds a nice little bit to the back. Adding in some more little walls there. That's our beautiful courtyard area. And we're adding in some more of those, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Pointy bits. Not pointy bits. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Anyway, yeah, so going around detailing the roof. It's still looking very bland. I just had a little walk through the inside, as you can see. Yeah, it's still looking pretty bland. So we got to add a lot of scenery, a lot of little details here and there to really, really finish it off and give it that sort of grand and detailed vibe. I love these colored lights because they produce such awesome lighting effects. You can see it just like lights up that whole bit of the building green, and then you get these lanterns. They add this sort of warm glow everywhere. Oh, the lighting in this game is spot on. It is spot on. And it doesn't make the game lag. like if you guys recall in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, if you played your park at nighttime and it had any crazy number of lights, and by crazy number I mean like 2, your game was gonna lag. I'm still so excited that we're finally getting the sort of theme park tycoon style of games back again. Like there's like 3 of them currently in development, and that's super awesome. It's super exciting because these are one of the games that, like, I mean, Roller Coaster Tycoon was like one of 2 games that defined my childhood. It was like Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, 2, and 3. I played all of them. And The Sims, basically. Those are the 2 big games from my childhood that I played all of the time. I mean, of course, there's other things in there as well, like GTA. That's an amazing game too. But, I mean, as the ones that I sunk a lot of time into and I put a lot of creativity and effort into, The Sims and Roller Coaster Tycoon. And it's just so exciting to have these games back again. I'm so excited. It's so good. It's so good. I don't even know what to say. I've just made myself so happy. Anyway, yeah, so you can see we're back inside. We're adding more lighting because it is very, very dark in here. And it kind of remains dark, but you can see I put in some of those yellow lights, and it's a little bit sickening to walk through at that speed. Apologies, but yeah, I had to go inside the building to see how the lighting was and all that. So we're just outside adding some scenery. Unfortunately, scenery at this point in the time, at this alpha, scenery can't actually be a part of a building, which is kind of annoying because it means that if I wanted to move the building or copy it, it wouldn't copy any of the little bits that I'm adding now, basically, like all the barrels, that little sort of music sideshow kind of thing, that fruit. None of that's going to get copied because it's not part of the building, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, so just going through inside now and adding lots of things in these gaps that I've left, because I intentionally left like little spaces around the place so I could add in little details here and there. And I'm going through and adding, I guess, air quotes, flooring. Those are technically roof tiles, and also they are very, very thick. That's what she said. So still not ideal. I hope they come up with a better system for flooring buildings because right now it's not ideal. And you can see that there's a lot of grass gaps everywhere. Like where the pathway curves, you just have a big patch of grass just peeking in, which is not ideal. So hopefully they can do something to make that a little bit better. That'd be ideal. I mean, this is literally the first alpha, so I'm expecting some big things. But anyway, yeah. So going through, adding some details. I love that you can add in scenery to the actual station platform as well. That's really, really nice. It lets you do that. Just adding some things on the building roof as well. Getting some cannons poking through me crenulations, as I'm going to call them henceforth. It's probably not right. Going outside, adding some little potted plants. And I was still looking for a sign again. There's not really any signs I could do. Anyway, going on to the landscaping now because we have, you know, a beautiful castle. Now it needs some piratey themes. It needs some palm trees and some shrubbery and lots of tropical kind of themes around this to sort of finish it off. Getting some rocks as well. Yeah, so I use a bunch of the rocks to, I guess, create some sort of a landscaping effect for the coaster. Because, I mean, we can't landscape yet. So, not landscape. We can't use terrain tools yet. So I used rocks to create kind of, I guess, little hills. So like this initial bank, I sort of did like a border of rocks around it, as you can see here. Which I thought it looked really, really cool, actually. I'm actually really happy with that. It's probably one of my favorite bits of the coaster, to be honest. Just because I think it's kind of cool. It's a little subtle. Well, it's not subtle, but, you know, I don't know. It's just a gentle little curve. Just a few rocks. It sort of just banks around those rocks now. So, I don't know. I really like that anyway. And I do that kind of thing in a few other places. I was going to do it around this entire curve. And then I was like, oh, I cannot be bothered to do that. Because it takes ages to just go through and put rocks around the place. So, I did it for a little bit. So, it's sort of like you come around and you just sort of, I guess, drive over those rocks. You just skate around them rocks. Do one on some rocks on the inside there. Yeah, so it just sort of goes around. But I think that would work really well when we actually had like terrain tools to play around with. Just a little cut there because I obviously took a break and I came back. Adding in some colored lighting there at the rocks to give it a bit of character. And just adding a little bit more stuff around the coaster because the coaster itself, I really liked the coaster, but it needed some more decoration, more theming, more foliage, just some more stuff. So it looks like it's part of the terrain, you know. It's not just plonked on top in some arbitrary place. It looks like it's designed to fit the place. Is at least what I'm trying to do with the rocks. Again, if we had some terrain tools, it would probably be a little bit better. At least even painting the terrain would be nice. So I could get some dirt in or some rock texture on the ground. That'd be good. And then, yeah, so on that little bit there, I was going to do a little rock tower, and I did do a rock tower. I don't know. It was a little bit of fun. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I left it there, so there you go. But we're very, very nearly done. So I will stop talking in a moment's time because we're actually going to ride the coaster. So I'll let you listen to that because I still think the sounds of the coasters are beautiful. And then after that, we'll go through a first-person walk, which I think I might leave you to that as well. I think so. I will leave you here. Don't forget you can download it in the description below if it actually works. If it doesn't, then I'm sorry, but you can enjoy the video, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. I'm just going to keep stalling until the riding of the coaster begins. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you wanted to see more of these kind of videos where we just go through and sort of build lots of kind of detail kind of stuff, let me know. Because we can totally do more of these. But here we are at riding the coaster. Enjoy.